Now that I've played over 250 hours in Xdefiant, I think I might be done with this game for now. Initially, when I heard about the beta test sessions and saw some of the gameplay, I couldn't wait to get my hands on the game. Now, I'm a huge fan of Black Ops 4, and this is the only game I've seen come close to capturing that magic that Black Ops 4 had. Great map designs, lots of color, character abilities, and a long time to kill. And the cherry on top of everything, no skill-based matchmaking. So if Xdefiant's the game I've been waiting for, why am I done with it before Season 1 even finishes? And what can Xdefiant do to win me back? Let's dive into it. After playing the game for so many hours, you start to run out of things to do. I really like the core gameplay of it, and it's almost enough to keep me coming back, but no matter how good the foundation of a game is, at some point you hit a wall and you ask yourself, why am I playing this game? I'm glad they added mastery camos, and that kept me grinding for a while. Problem is that the camos are tied to sheer playtime, even though Xdefiant themselves say they want weapon camos to be a reward for dedication and mastery of a weapon. But in their current state, that will obviously never get changed, it literally only rewards playtime and basically forces you to play team deathmatch for the most weapon XP. Now, I'm okay with TDM, but it's not my favorite game mode, especially in this game where it was clearly designed around objective modes. I don't like the fact that I essentially have to grind only one mode to get that sweet dopamine hit from the weapon level notification during the game. It's human nature for our actions and time spent on something to be tied to progress and growth. But if they really wanted the mastery camos to showcase someone's dedication to mastering a weapon, it makes so much more sense to have a list of weapon challenges that require things like headshots, kills with no attachments, kills without reloading, going on kill streaks, using different predefined builds, and the list can go on and on here, as long as they don't force us to do long shots. Something that really keeps me coming back to certain games is feeling like I'm being rewarded for playing the game and getting better. Taking that a step further, it's even better if you get rewarded with some type of earnable cosmetic that you can show off to other players. Apex Legends does this really well with all the ranked badges and the stat trackers you can add to your banner that other players see when you kill them. At the moment, Xdefiant doesn't really have anything like that. Now, I consider myself a somewhat patient individual, especially compared to your normal TikTok brain gamers, and I've been very patient waiting for more content and improvements to come to the game. But I'm starting to get a little tired of things I want supposedly coming in a future update with an undecided release date. Things like improvements to the ranked mode, more maps, mouse and keyboard support for console, and other massive changes we'll talk about later in the video that everybody wants in the game, like as soon as possible. But I've been playing the same maps since the beta I played a year ago, with the exception of one 6v6 map and one of the long progression style maps. Now, I think at the time of this video going live, they may have added another map called Rockefeller. It's not really a fair comparison, but if we include the entire wait time for this game, it's been almost 14 months since the beta when I played, and we've only gotten 2 new core maps added in. In one tweet from Mark Rubin, he said they have all of the year 1 content done and ready, and they're working on things like improving the netcode, polishing the game up, and adding more features. And that's great, but I kind of feel like they need to move up the release of some of that content, especially if it's just maps. If the game dies, we may not even get to the end of the first year to see that content. Now, I totally understand that they're limited in both resources and probably staff, but at some point, the promise of it's coming in the future gets frustrating, especially after an entire year's delay. We're also missing a proper leveling system, and a prestige type progression system has been talked about numerous times from the studio head Mark Rubin, but again, this is something that's just been relegated to the coming in the future, and my goal here is not to be mean or negative. I feel like I've been one of the few outwardly positive voices on YouTube about Xdefiant and even defend it most of the time. I'll say it again, I do like this game, but I feel like I've gotten almost everything out of it that I can in its current state. Call of Duty hasn't been great in recent years with giving players progression and earnable cosmetics, but I think it's still ahead of Xdefiant at the moment. Plus, Call of Duty's core gameplay loop includes kill streaks, which give you that extra thing that you're always trying to earn every single match. Now, by no means do I think Xdefiant should add kill streaks, but we do need something. Going on a 10 streak gives you a little whoosh sound, and that's great, but I need something a little more than that to feel like going on a big streak or having a new record objective time actually matters. Obviously, it helps you to win the game, which is the entire point, but if I had my way, I'd probably give players some sort of unique cosmetic that evolves with your personal best for things like streaks or objective play. Imagine getting a certain animation, skin, or camo for getting 5,000 objective score in a single match. Something you could show off in the team starting screen or the end screen, and that would also encourage people to go play the objective more, which the game desperately needs. The number of times I've been on a team that won't touch the objective is becoming painful. But I'll leave it at that before I start getting upset, but I think you see my point. Overall, the foundation of this game is great, but we need layers that add depth and replay value, especially in today's market where it seems like there's a new FPS game being announced every month. I think a lot of players feel the same way. We get it. Game development takes time and we're willing to wait, but a little more communication and a more clear roadmap would really help us get excited and invested in what's to come. Now, one of the things I was most excited about in Xdefiant was a ranked mode that I could really sink my teeth into, you know, dedicate myself to the grind nonstop, because at least there I could earn a visible rank and my performance matters. I initially was upset that they were delaying ranked and then was super happy because they pushed the release of it up, but in hindsight I kind of think that was a mistake because it's missing quite a bit of competitive balance to make it even worth playing. Not to mention there were a long list of bugs that made it essentially unplayable and at the very least made it not competitive at all. And I was really confused by this because they had ranked available as a beta during the entire preseason, and I assumed they had collected enough data and feedback from players to make some adjustments, but I guess we'll just have to wait a little bit longer. Now, we finally got a faction limit, so the entire game isn't people spamming phantom shields and ultimates or a 4-stack of people trolling with spider bots. And one of the biggest issues of all is if a player disconnects from a match, there's no way for them to reconnect and you essentially just lose the game. And you can't back out because you get hit with a max penalty, and there's no timeout penalty for people leaving the match. And this is especially a problem if you're trying to solo through the lower ranks, because a lot of your teammates just don't care about their rank and they'll back out if they're not playing well. And this results in your team almost certainly losing. And I think I'm feeling extra let down by ranked because the Ubisoft CEO did mention in an interview that he'd like to see Xdefiant possibly become a proper esport, and I thought a lot more time and attention was going to be put into the ranked mode, and that has yet to be seen. Another thing ranked is missing that I talked about earlier is some type of reward and cosmetic that you get to show off. The rewards are okay with a few weapon skins, but it would be nice to have something on your player profile that people would be able to see in pubs. Maybe it sounds dumb, but I think it would be cool to jump into pubs and see one of your teammates with a ranked badge and be like, oh damn, that guy made it to diamond. Now, in their defense, they've been making small changes that have improved the mode, but it's just still not in a place where I can really take it seriously and dump a lot of time and energy into it. Honestly, I've been going back to Apex Legends to grind ranked because it's one of the best ranked systems in the FPS genre at the moment, and I'm hoping that eventually Xdefiant will get there too. Now, this next one's a bit odd because it's kind of a result of everything that I just mentioned. A big part of playing multiplayer games is being able to jump on with the boys and have some fun, whether it's just messing around or full-on sweating out ranked game modes or pub stomping. Obviously, you can't do that if the boys don't want to play Xdefiant, and I have to say I'm down to only a few people that actually want to play this game with me because of all the reasons that I just previously mentioned. Most of the people I would play with have basically told me they feel there's no real reason to play it, and they don't feel like their playtime or performance is rewarded beyond just a few weapon levels every match. And at the end of the day, I'm not the biggest fan of grinding first-person shooter games by myself. If my friends are all on a different game that I like, I'll probably just switch over and join up, which is why I've been bouncing back and forth between Apex and Xdefiant. I have a sneaking suspicion here that I'm not the only one experiencing this, and as much as I enjoy the game, I can recognize that Xdefiant is missing both a unique it factor as well as content rewards for playing the game. Some people would be happy with normal things like daily challenges with rewards and a prestige system and a truly rewarding camo grind. For me, that would be a good start, but what I'm really missing in this game is some sort of earnable cosmetic that can only be earned by good players. Like I said, in Apex, we have the things like badges for 4,000 damage, getting 20 kills in a game, or just a badge for achieving a certain rank in that game. These things all have a level of status associated with them so that when someone sees them, they know that person has put in the time and effort to earn them. Now, despite this being a very critical video, I do want the game to succeed, but before I talk about that, if you're enjoying the content and you want to support the channel, head on over to my website and pick up some of my background packs. Instead of a $5 sub or donation, I'd like you guys to get a little something in return, so I designed a bunch of different desktop backgrounds, and I'll have some mobile ones coming in the near future. I also have some t-shirts for sale, like the Make Call of Duty Great Again shirt with the American flag on the sleeve, or if you're a mouse and keyboard player, we've got the Armistice shirt. Scan the QR code on the screen or click the link in the description below. None of this is required, but if you do go on to support the channel, I appreciate you. Alright, let's jump back into why Xdefiant needs to succeed. First and foremost, I want to play Xdefiant, and more importantly, this game is an experiment on if a game can survive without skill-based matchmaking in the current climate. Because if this game goes under, every single other AAA game will look to Xdefiant as an example of what happens when you don't protect average players from good players, And they'll say, if we want our game to succeed in the long run, well, we have to have skill-based or engagement-based matchmaking to stop players from quitting. Now sure, there could be plenty of reasons why Xdefiant does fail, including all the ones that we talked about in this video, but it won't matter because it will be used as the example or excuse to have SBMM in a game. And for many players that don't like skill-based matchmaking, this is probably our last bastion of freedom, so to speak. The last game that feels like gaming in 2010 when you could hop on, roll the dice with who you got paired with, and be able to enjoy the variety you get every time when you play the game. I also want this game to succeed because it challenges Call of Duty's monopoly in the marketplace. If you're not a Call of Duty fan or you haven't been paying attention, the franchise has been slowly trending back towards a more fast-paced style of gameplay and actually communicating with players. Mind-blowing concept, I know. I don't think that it's exclusively because of Xdefiant, but I do think it certainly had a hand in moving the needle. If Xdefiant is able to grow and be successful, players will always have this game to fall back on regardless of how bad Call of Duty's annual release is. Competition in the marketplace is always a good thing for the consumer, and it makes companies compete for your time, attention, and forces them to bring you the most value for the lowest price. Otherwise, they risk losing players to another franchise. Delta Force Hawk Ops is a perfect example of someone seeing the void Battlefield has left, swooping in to pick up the slack where Battlefield just fails to deliver. The same thing can be true for Call of Duty and Xdefiant. If you enjoyed this video and you want to watch another video on first-person shooters, click here.